What's up, D learners? It's your girl, Lady D of DTalford Training Solutions, here today to talk to you about some of the signs and symptoms of conduct disorder. So that was a little extreme, I know, but I want you to just understand what conduct disorder is and how it can be very serious and become very serious if we let it go too long. So in my last video, I talked about what conduct disorder was. And it's just a group of repetitive and persistent behavioral and emotional problems in youngsters. So we are looking at conduct disorder over time. So at any point in time, a child can do some of these things and it not be conduct disorder. What makes it conduct disorder is the pattern as it happening over time. So it is a pattern of certain behaviors that are grouped as aggressive, destructive, or deceitful. So let's talk about some of the aggressive behaviors that could occur. So think about in your mind, if you've seen Nelson Muntz from The Simpsons, if you've seen Joffrey Lannister from Game of Thrones, if you've seen 13 Reasons Why and you remember the character Bryce, he was the rapist, and Monty, he was the one who was the bully, and he sexually assaulted another male with a mop. So those are the extreme versions in the media, probably the most severe cases, the cases that would probably end up being criminal later on in life. But this can start, and it could start to manifest itself in early childhood. Sometimes, as young as a 4 or 5 or 6, you might see some of these small little tidbits that show you that you should be concerned. For example, bullying, threatening, or intimidating others. So you may see this child bully other children, and we're not just talking about teasing, I don't like your shirt. We are talking about this child that is doing something to strike fear on purpose. You're thinking about this child who delights in cruelty. Maybe they hit other kids with blocks, or they beat them in the head with different toys, or they laugh as they push them off of the swing or off of the slide, and they find it funny when other children are hurting. So this child can be physically cruel to people, but they also can be physically cruel to animals. So this might be the child that doesn't just, people kill mice and throw them away, and it's disgusting to have mice in your house. This might be the child that traps the mouse and then tortures it just for the fun of watching it squeal or be in pain. They might do things to the dog, like hit the dog, throw the dog, but they purposely try to physically assault and hurt a person or animal. They enjoy things that that can cause physical harm, like bricks, bats, bottles, guns, knives, and they look forward to using those to intimidate and hurt other people. They steal from the person that they're hurting. So this could be the kid that beats another child up and then steals their clothes, their shoes. It was not just that I wanted to make you feel hurt and pain, but then I wanted to humiliate you afterwards. This is the child or the adolescent that forces another person into sexual activity, or tries to coerce someone else into sexual activity. And a lot of times it can come from the fact that this child or person could have been sexually traumatized themselves, and then that's the way they then inflict pain upon others. They could have seen their primary caregiver. Typically it's the mother, but it could be another primary caregiver constantly being kind of defamed or sexually mistreated or physically mistreated, and they don't understand that that coercion is not how you treat people. They show no remorse for their aggression, so they haven't learned that what their actions are hurtful to others. In their mind, they're feeling pleasure, they're feeling good about what they're doing, so they can't see past themselves. It's a little bit, kind of narcissistic in a way, but these kids don't have confidence. They act confident, but they are really insecure, so this is why they're acting this way, whereas the narcissist believes that they are pretty much God's gift to the earth. So that could be a little bit of a difference. So they like to destroy things. So they'll destroy things like setting fires. So think, pyromania. I am obsessed with the idea of destroying things by fire. Then deliberately destroying other people's property. That in one of the episodes of 13 Reasons Why, Bryce wants to hurt his father, so he breaks into his father's home and destroys all of his father's stuff. And when his father is upset about it, he feels joy and happiness that he made his father hurt and by hurting his property. Then you have stealing, breaking into a building, a house, or a car, either because you want to steal something or the prior reason to break in would have been to destroy something. Lies to obtain goods or favors, or avoid obligations. So they will tell you anything that they have to avoid being able to doing something that they don't want to do. Yes, this is also runs kind of in connection with the comorbid condition oppositional defiant disorder. A lot of times conduct disorder and oppositional defiant disorder can be present in a child, but it does not mean that the oppositional defiant disorder caused the conduct disorder or the conduct disorder caused the oppositional defiant disorder. They are just running alongside each other, and lying can be a reason that in both disorders, because in oppositional defiant disorder, that obnoxious child just doesn't want to do what authority tells them to do. With conduct disorder, they're lying because it's a way to break the rules and not do what they don't want to do. So they're also stealing sometimes without confronting the victim. This more typically happens with girls or females, that they're usually the ones that they're conducting themselves in a more secretive way, maybe hurting people more secretly. If a lot of times when you think of movies and you think of males in movies, they're hurting people by assaulting them, physically harming them, and a lot of females in movies will hurt people by ways of sabotaging them behind their back, poisoning, things like that. So when you're thinking of conduct disorder, both of these are conduct disorder, but some traits happen more typically with males than with females. So the shoplifting, breaking in, that kleptomania, forgery and fraud, like so doing something deceptive to take people's money, that is a form of stealing, and that is a form of conduct disorder. So if you think about conduct disorder versus oppositional defiant disorder, oppositional defiant disorder is breaking of rules, but with conduct disorder, you are going completely off the rails of society in breaking the rules. So a child may know they're not supposed to stay out all night, and they'll repeatedly stay out all night even though the parent is objecting. They may leave or run away from home or skip school, staying away from school, drug and alcohol use. And a lot of times these kids begin engaging in sexual behavior at a very young age. And some of this could be forced sexual behavior, being sexually assaulted by somebody else, or it could be that because of the nature of their environment, they're seeing so much sexual behavior going on, or maybe their mother or father just is constantly running through different people. Then the child does not understand that, you know, what sex is, what is for, and so to them that's a way for gratification, for quick way of feeling good, so they begin it at an early age. So you definitely, if you are seeing signs of conduct disorder, you can go online and get a copy of the Vanderbilt. There is a version for the parent and the teacher to fill out, and the questions on there help you gauge, you know, what's going on, what symptoms might I see, and they're just the things I just talked about. Argues with adults, loses temper, actively defies or refuses to go along with adults' rules or requests, deliberately annoys people, blames others for mistakes or behaviors, is touchy or easily annoyed by others, is angry or resentful, is spiteful, and wants to get even, vindictive. So that is mostly oppositional defiant disorder, pretty much if you stop with a cluster of those things. But making it even more intensified would be bullying or threatening and intimidating, starting physical fights, lying to get out of trouble or avoid obligations, truant or skipping school, physically cruel to people, stolen things of value, deliberately destroys property, uses a weapon for harm, is physically cruel to animals, has deliberately set fires or caused damage, broken into someone else's house, car, or business, stayed out without permission, runs away from home, forced sexual activity, fearful or anxious or worried, start to get into more anxiety types of things. And sometimes, like I said, these children seem confident, but they really feel sometimes worthless or inferior, or possibly even powerless. And their way to feel good and to feel power is to hurt someone else. So remember that it's our job to train up a child in the way they should go, so that when they are old, they will not depart from it. So if you are seeing these signs in a child, you know, ask yourself, you know, what can I do to help this parent understand what this child is going through? What can I do to help educate this child in my classroom? Because if we don't take action while these children are young, these are going to be the children that we see on the news. You know, at least 1/3 of them are going to end up with that, you know, antisocial personality disorder, where we're looking at potential a psychopath or sociopath. So we definitely want to understand that it is our job to help children reach their potential. You are the most important person in a child's life to be able to do that. So if you are seeing these signs, go ahead online and print off a Vanderbilt. You can make an appointment with a developmental pediatrician, your regular pediatrician, a psychologist, licensed mental health clinician, social worker, anyone that deals with children with different disorders. Because just think how you would feel if one of the children that you knew you were educating, or one of the children you raised in your home, were the next child that ended up on the news because they assaulted or hurt or damaged property or killed someone. I know that that would break my heart, and I'm sure that it would break yours as well. So remember, it is you that is instrumental in a child's development. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and share it with a friend.